Thank you to Sakuraco and TokyoTreat for sponsoring today's video. Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So, there's something I'm going to explain a little bit later in today's video, but for today's session, for drawing's sake, I am going to be drawing two of your guys' OCs that I've picked from my Instagram hashtag, which is RenSpiritDrawOC. So we are going to start with the submitted OC from, I think it's Fieru or Fieru Fin. So basically they submitted their OC, Fieru or Fieru. And I'm going to apologize in advance that I kind of butcher your OC. So maybe in a later video, I'll do a redemption of this one because I don't know if I was just not in the swing of things or I wasn't in the mood of drawing when I was doing this particular piece. But I would like to redo it because yeah, there's just things that I felt that were very off and I was not having it in terms of trying to fix it. So I'll try to kind of fix it at the very end, but I would like to reattempt this at some point. But I only picked two for this session just because I wanted to keep it a little bit shorter and give enough time for the two different OCs to show the process and stuff. And basically what I wanted to do also is that I would like to draw your guys' OCs for every Wednesday in December. And I'm going to be picking mostly from Instagram. So if you guys would like to submit your OCs, feel free to do so. But if you previously submitted your OCs by using the hashtag, I'm still going to be going through the entirety of it and picking out different OCs to draw. Now, the kind of format for the videos where I want to draw your guys' OCs are gonna kind of vary a little bit just because I don't want to just do draw with me's for every single one. So some of them, if I would like to spend a little bit longer on, maybe I'll do an ASMR session. I know some people submitted OCs that did not have like colors or anything, so just like pure sketches. So I'll tailor my drawings to your guys' submitted OC drawings. So if it's a sketch, I will also do it more or less in black and white. And then I'll just kind of vary it up. So maybe some I'll do on my XP pen tablet and we can do like line work and everything like that. Or maybe I'll just stick in Procreate and I'll do like an entire sketch page of a character. We'll kind of see how I feel depending on the day as well as how many characters I wish to draw for that session. So if you would like to, like I mentioned earlier, submit your OCs using the hashtag RenSpiritDrawOC into Instagram, and I'll be checking that quite frequently throughout December and hopefully filming a lot of it so I can show you guys. If not, I probably at some point in December will do kind of like a massive dump upload and tag everybody who submitted their OCs that I've drawn so people don't really miss it, because I know some people have submitted their OCs a long time ago and maybe they don't keep up with my videos anymore, so I will still tag them eventually. And I have a lot of previous ones as well who I've never really uploaded the artwork for, so I'll do that as well. So with that being said, every Wednesday in December will probably be occupied with a draw your OC video, meaning that Saturday's video is going to be kind of a toss-up in terms of what I'm going to be doing. But there are particular videos I don't like making Saturday videos. If you've ever kept up with my schedule, usually longer formatted videos, ASMRs that are not like digital ones, I also post usually not on Saturday. So if I end up doing a session or two that does not align with what I like to post on Saturday, I'll keep it as a bonus video for you guys. So maybe you'll get 4 videos a week, we'll see. But I think that's it in terms of what I wanted to inform you guys in terms of the month of December, since today will be probably the 2nd. So because I've got that out of the way, basically, let's talk a little bit about the drawing and kind of my struggle where I've kind of let myself become in a space where I really dislike this drawing from the get-go, but I really like the character. So I kind of want to do a redemption one probably later on in the month, like I mentioned. So maybe I'll do it at the beginning of one of the Draw Your OCs video or at the very end. I probably won't show the entire full process, but I do want to either spruce this one up or redo it entirely. So the character is seen having this kind of flute, and while I was looking at the reference image, their OC kind of has like I don't know, like they're levitating or floating the flute, and it has like a gradient from dark to light. So I wanted to treat the flute a little bit more airier and or kind of more magical or mystical. So at some point I knew I wanted the flute to kind of go from a dark turquoise teal color and kind of fade into a very pale color starting from right to left, so that it could look a little bit more I guess like ghostly in a sense. And you see how I try to combat this, but I execute it super poorly, which is why I really want to redo it. I'll talk a little bit later about what I dislike about this kind of process of what I did a little bit later, but before we get to the rendering portion. So, to take a break from the drawing portion, I wanted to let you guys know more about TokyoTreat and Sakuraco. Experience Japan from the comfort of your own home with their beautifully packed snack boxes. TokyoTreat is a monthly pop Japanese snack subscription box with 20 of the latest exclusive, limited edition, and seasonal flavor Japanese snacks that are only available in Japan for a limited time. December's box is clearly Christmas themed, which is their special edition box filled with their favorite snacks like the Kit Kat strawberry chocolate cake, Christmas kokuto donut, and the Christmas cake gummies, which look so freaking cute. While Sakuraco is an authentic Japanese snack subscription box, Sakuraco supports local Japanese snack makers, and each box comes with 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan Japanese snacks, but also includes Japanese teas and a special Japanese tableware. This time, they have included this super cute indigo yuzu dish, which resembles a lot of that kind of blue and white ceramic pieces, which I'm a super big fan of. So they're kind of perfect to hold all your cute and delicious snacks like the milk and chocolate cookie, the milk mochi, and the Hokkaido butter cookies. Both boxes come with a 24-page cultural guide, and the booklet includes information on each of the snacks in the box. This includes cultural information relating to that month and the location. The information also includes the allergen information and ingredients for each of the snacks. Also mentions if the snack is vegetarian friendly or not. Each month has a different theme, meaning that you get to try out a whole new selection of new treats and snacks every month. For example, TokyoTreat's box theme for the month of December is the Snacktacular Christmas, while Sakuraco's theme is the Holidays in Hokkaido, which is perfect since Hokkaido is kind of known for their snow-centered activities. I'm still trying to get my friend and her husband to go there when they ever plan to go to Japan. So let's go ahead and try out the teas from Sakuraco's box. I think this is one of the best ways to get to eat a wonderful array of snacks, but also to kind of expand your tea selection. I realized how much I really love the kind of teas that are made from brown rice, like this one, and this one's definitely one of my favorites for sure. I really enjoyed the wasabi pistachios. Unfortunately, I don't have the footage for it because my family really likes these as well, and they kind of gobbled them all up before I could even record and show them. But the Okinawan salt daifuku was also one of my favorites because I actually didn't know that I would really like a more savory daifuku versus something that's more just like subtly sweet. But this one's both. It's kind of a little bit sweet but has that nice savory taste, so it's a great combination. The cutest must be the Christmas cake gummies. These gummies are always great because they're not the type that stick to your teeth while you're chewing. I'm excited to try out the spicy kitakata ramen as well because I think it'll be great to eat on a cold, chilly day in the month of December. So, if you would like to get a box for yourself or to get one for a lovely gift for either your friends or family, I definitely think it's a great time since it's kind of in that festive time of December. So, if you would like to, please check out the link in the description to get your boxes today. And thank you again to Sakuraco and TokyoTreat for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to now rendering the OC drawing. Now we can kind of get started with the rendering portion, and initially, I'm not too sure if it reads this way sometimes whenever I do these digital sessions because it is kind of choppy in terms of how I cut up the footage, but there's kind of a way how I like to sketch if I know I want to do a finished piece versus I want to sketch kind of just like messily, or I don't really care about needing it to be super clean. Like I'll just add color and I'll clean up as much as I can, kind of up to a certain point. But for this, because it was the first drawing that I did for this particular video, I was not prepared in terms of wanting to establish whether or not I was going to do full finished drawings, or I was going to finish them up to a certain extent, or I was going to leave them to the 1 hour time limit. Now, ideally, I would have liked to include more, I guess, like OCs in one video. So usually I like keeping it to a 1 hour time limit, but that usually works out if I kind of like do normal headshot-ish kind of format. So either in the pre-made rectangles, or I'll keep these sketches fairly simple within a 5x7. But for this one, because I spent so much time trying to think of a way to flesh out the pose, I was trying to think of a background, color palette and stuff. I think I did not fully prepare myself to want to render, if that makes sense, because there's going to be some kind of like cop out at the very end in terms of trying to hide up certain mistakes, because I didn't feel like I wanted to continue rendering, or I didn't want to fix up certain parts because I just didn't feel like it, which is not a very good mindset to have sometimes. But it's also a good sign that you might need to take a break from a piece and then come back, because there's no reason for you to force yourself to do something all in one session. But that's kind of the reason why I like doing things like within a certain time constraint whenever I have to do multiple of something. So like for these ones, it would have been nice to be able to keep things maybe around an hour and a half-ish for each of them, but this one took a lot longer, so I ended up taking a lot longer for the second one too. But the second one's a lot more simple. So this one I was just struggling because I think I just don't like how I drew his face either, which is why I would like to redo it. So another thing you can tell that I did not take my time really sketching this one is that I totally forgot to fill in the rest of his sleeve here. So instead of doing the sketch, I am going ahead and blocking it in with a kind of like more mid-tone color. I'll add in the highlight, I'll drop in the shadow for the back part of the inside of the sleeve, and then that way I don't really have to re-sketch everything. I can just paint it on top and fill it in, and it doesn't really look too out of place because the colors are more or less correct. So yeah, I think in terms of my mood for this one, I just was not up to the challenge in terms of wanting to do a full piece for this. I think my brain was like ready to go to be like, hey, you're really into sketching right now, so just sketch, color it, render it, and clean it up a little bit, and then we can move on to a different one. But I feel like this one deserved a little bit more care and love because I was so wishy-washy with my choices. So eventually I'll come back to it, and I'll try to think of a better way to combat the... well, not combat. I want to better execute what I'm doing right now. So like I said earlier, I wanted to do something where it seems like the flute was, I guess, like fading at one end or becoming a little bit ghostly or very airy in a sense. So I cut out all the footage of me being fickle with my choices because it was way too much time wasted on something to kind of like cover up something, which is probably not a good idea. I don't like this one either just because the glowing on the hand looks very poorly done. The hand just looks out of place in general, probably because I didn't outline it, I didn't render it to the same degree as everything else, so it looks off. And you can see that I'm going back to just trying to embellish the entire piece because I was trying to make it look pretty and it just looks way too overdone. So yeah, I think next week I'll re-tackle this. I'll shorten down like the footage for what I will show you guys so you guys don't get to see the entirety of it, so I can actually leave room for the other OCs to shine through when I'm drawing them. So yeah, I'll show you guys the time lapse here, and through the time lapse you'll be able to see that part where I spent way too long trying to fix or not even fix, trying to cover up my mistakes instead of trying to fix them. So yeah, next week definitely we'll do a redemption on this one, so stay tuned, I guess. Okay, so now we are starting on the second one, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm only doing 2 for today's video just to keep things a little bit more condensed. So this one is from X Mad at Myself X. So this is their OC, and I don't know if they have like a name or if there's other artwork of them, but I thought the color palette and just the overall like demeanor of the character was very cute and very, I don't know, I don't really draw this kind of character that has this color combination of a very bright green and a very bright kind of hot pinkish color. So I really wanted to draw the character. So yeah, thank you very much for submitting your character, by the way. I'm going to try my best when picking the OCs that I'm not going to draw too many similar OCs in one video. So hopefully I'll try to vary up the color palettes, or like I said, depending on the OC that is submitted, I will try to tailor the drawing towards that particular either style or the particular aesthetic of the OC. So, and that kind of pertains to how the artist drew it as well, because I mentioned that depending on certain mediums that you submit, I will also try to tailor my sketches or drawings to that, so no one really gets left out. So hopefully I will tackle as many as I can. And it's kind of like, I should have probably mentioned this at the beginning of the video, because I feel like December is kind of like a very celebratory holiday and giving month, that I wanted to give back a little bit by drawing as many of your guys' submitted OCs that I possibly can. And if possible as well, I don't want to hold myself to this because I know December is just busy in general. I would have liked to pick out as many of the OCs that have been submitted that are fully shown, like how to explain this, full body OCs, I guess, reference sheets that are shown, and do just like a gigantic compilation of chibi versions, which could be fun to do. I don't know. I used to do back on Instagram where I would draw people's OCs, but I would do headshots of them, and I did I think 30 and another 30 a different year, but hopefully I'm a little bit faster so I can do as many as I can. I'm going to still try to do the chibi idea, I think, but I'm going to see how I'm going to record the process for that, because I like doing my chibis usually on Painter's size, so maybe I'll stick with that and do screen recording, and maybe at the very end of December I can do kind of like a very large compilation drawing time-lapse session or something of a gigantic canvas with just a bunch of chibis from you guys. We'll see what I'll do, because I would like to do that, but like I said, I know December tends to be very busy, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to tackle that fully, so I'm not going to hold myself to it, but if I can, I'll definitely do that for the very end of December. So kind of for the rest of this OC, I'm just kind of like fixing up certain parts of the sketch because I forgot about certain details that were going to overlap, and I made the shoulder very round and very big compared to how I initially wanted it to look, because I do have a habit of making the shoulder, especially for females, a little bit too round, especially at the very top connecting to your arm, like the upper arm. So I did have to kind of knock it back and make it a little bit more natural looking rather than something that looks very bulbous. And then after that, similar process in terms of coloring. So I decided to fill in the entire figure with one color. That way I can just alpha lock that layer and then put down the skin tone base over everything. And then we can slowly start to shade everything, starting from skin to eyes to hair to the clothing, and then after that we can actually start to render. So I think at this point I've also set my sketch to multiply. That way whenever I lay down colors, it actually turns the sketch to be a little bit closer in terms of matching with the base color that I've placed down, just because it kind of reacts to whatever's placed underneath that layer, and it makes it a little bit easier for me to spruce up the drawing and make things look a little bit softer near the end. And I'll definitely kind of tailor those lines a little bit closer to when we actually finish with the coloring process, because I have to take in the shadows into account at this point, so I don't want to make everything too dark or the lines too light too early. So I kind of wanted to be a little bit mindful of that before I actually tackle the rendering or the cleanup phase. So one thing I really like about this OC too, which hopefully I'm correct, I don't really draw nose piercings too often. Now I don't think I executed it correctly, just because I tend to draw noses fairly small and very flat. So I should have extended the nose piercing a little bit further out to indicate where the nostril would be, because where I have it placed would be too close to have 2 nostrils to be, so I would have liked to expand it a little bit. And hopefully I'm correct that that's a nose piercing, because I was a little bit iffy on whether or not that was the shadow of the nose or if it's the nose piercing, because the person's art style is very cutesy, very simplified, very bubbly looking. So I was kind of scared if I interpreted that wrong, so hopefully it's not too incorrect. So in terms of the sketch lines, like I said, I like to change the color of it. So similar to when I start to color in the character by blocking it in one color, I like to take advantage of alpha lock, so that way I can color just my sketch lines and I can actually tailor the lines to be similar color to whatever surrounding area that is. Then after that, I can go ahead and merge the kind of sketch layer with my rough color layer, and we can actually start with cleanup. But before I did cleanup and rendering, I wanted to add in a very simple background. Now the character that they submitted and their kind of like drawing of their character, they have a really cute kind of pastel heart background and a little circle for the character. But for me, I'm in a very plaid mood, so I decided to do plaid for the character's background instead. And it's kind of stemming from the outfits from the Zutomo little, I guess like sub-unit group from Niji Sanji, which has like Petra, Enna, Millie, and Reimu, and all of them have plaid, so I've been having fun doing the plaid pattern a lot, which is easily done if you use a kind of a combination, if you would like, of blend mode layers of multiply and screen. So a lot of the lighter colors that I like to layer up, I use screen usually, and any of the kind of mid-tone to darker colors, I like to use multiply, because areas where they overlap, they do get darker and or lighter. So I take advantage of that to help with the plaid pattern, because I don't really want to think about the overlapping all that much. I didn't do it for the white either, but I think it turned out pretty cute, and I do like the pastel pink with this character. I think it fits it very well with them. I think other than that, I was kind of struggling with whether or not I wanted to do more detailed hair or if I wanted to keep it simple to represent the character a little bit more, just because I do like how bubbly and round this character is. I should have talked about it more too instead of talking about my gripes with the first character. I loved the entire demeanor and aesthetic of the first character, and the color palette and the way the artist has chosen their colors when they colored the character, because they have a good amount of warm and cool colors alongside with nice contrasting colors of red and teal together. So I do like that color combination quite a bit. So maybe I might have felt a little bit intimidated like right off the bat, because I was scared I wasn't going to do the character justice, and kind of with that mindset kind of probably transferred into my drawing. So like I said, I'm gonna do a redemption for that one. But for today's session, I definitely like my attempt at this character's drawing a little bit more than the first person's character, and it has nothing to do with the character themselves. It's probably more just my mood and how I executed it. But there's no reason to keep holding on to that. So this is the end for this character. I didn't do the time lapse for the other one because I actually went back to fix that other one at some other point, so I forgot to show the time lapse version of it, but I showed the kind of digital version instead. So I'll show the time lapse right here for this one, a little bit simpler. I also scooched the mouth down because she had a really tiny face initially, so I just scoot it down before I finished rendering. And I think that's it for this character. Thank you very much for both of the people who submitted their OCs, and hopefully you guys enjoyed watching me draw them. Bye!